I saw that Kelly Armstrong had lost her access to Facebook. And so on her page, instead of her, it was her assistant who was saying, well, Kelly has lost access, so she's not going to be able to post here. So I'm going to be trying. So I'm the intermediate, I'm, in between her and you, and I'm going to be trying to tell you what Kelly would like to be telling you, like she usually does. But we can't get the account back. And I knew this from personal experience because I've lost the Fresh Fiction page and I got my account back. But the whole point of it was very disturbing and annoying because there's nobody to talk to. They own it. I understand that they own it. But the problem is that that's a part of our life a little bit. And when you lose access to it, and I've been working on it for, I think, since 2007. So, I had a presence there and it's still there, but I can't access it. And I didn't have an admin. So I didn't have an assistant. So it was like gone. It's gone. And every time I was roadblocked into trying to get it back. And that was just devastating. And so when I read Kelly's story, I understood her pain. And I also understood chances are, even though she's a New York Times bestselling author, she's not going to get that page back. So all of the work that she did for it is they take it away from you. No other person can take it. They can't take it over for 180 days, but they will eventually take it over. But you can't get into it. And you can send as many help messages as you want. And you still, there's no person. It's some kind of automation that makes the decision to take you away. You have no idea what word it is that you used in a post that they've decided you're an evil person. You have no recourse. And that's what happens when you build a lot of stuff on something you don't own and you don't have any control over. And so it's the brutal truth is that Facebook is owned by Facebook and your Instagram audience is owned by Meta. Now I have the same log on and I didn't lose my Instagram. I just lost the Facebook, but it's owned by the same corporate. I don't even know. Okay. And I'm sure nobody else knows either. If you have TikTok followers or viewers, you don't own them. ByteDance does, or now I guess an Ellison Group does, but you don't have any, you don't own it. The only thing you own is your mailing list. It's your email list. And that's you. There's no blocking. It's no suspension. There's no random posted things or anything else. It's you. You own it. So that's why it's really important to get an email list and to maintain it and to keep it. And so that's what do you do with your email list? Well, you send out emails or you send out newsletters. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the stakes that are here is what kind of reach do you have? Social media versus your email list. Remember that a social platform, which is all the different social media accounts, are excellent for discovery, but they're terrible for retention. And the numbers will tell the whole story here. If you're trying to do organic reach through Facebook, that is ones you're not paying for. That's what organic means there in this thing is you're at the most getting 3% of the number of followers that you have. So let's say that you really wanted to reach 100 people. You would have to have 3 followers that are following you, and it's hard to get those numbers. Okay. And that's just the average. Okay. Unless you pay for it. And even when you pay for it, you're only upping it to maybe 10% of your own list. Your open rates, if you have a good newsletter, a good email list, this is one that you've taken care of, that you get rid of people who don't want to get your emails, and that you send out regularly. Your open rates should be somewhere between 30 and 50%. They can be higher. They could be a little bit lower, but that's a good number. And this is what your engaged and list is going to deliver for you consistently every time you send it out without an algorithm, without worrying about anything else. So if you're trying to get to 40% of your real audience, you want to go to your email list versus trying to find that many people on your social platforms. So when you have a new book out or a sale, or you're going to an event and you'd like to have people come to it, who do you want to tell first? Do you want to tell 3% of your Facebook followers or your Instagram or your TikTok? Or do you want to go to 40% of the people who've said, I want to hear from you? And people really live in your world in the books that you've written from every time in between. It's not just when you release, it's when they've started reading it and they want to continue to hear news from you. They do. They want to continue to, as a reader, and I'm a reader, I don't forget about the story after it's over. I keep thinking about the characters. I keep thinking about that world. And it can go on beyond that you wrote. And it could be a book that you wrote 5, 10 years ago. But to me, it's fresh. So I would like you to put into chat how many of you, if you have a newsletter list, if you have an email list, just say yes or no. Okay. Then I'd like to know how many of you have sent out an email to that list in the last 30 days. All right, so we're going to talk about how you can do it a little more easily and a little more with structure. First thing you need to do is actually change the way that you think about newsletter and writing. It's marketing, but you have to think about it maybe a little bit differently than its job. It's a chore. It's like a bill that you have to pay. Okay. So if you stop thinking newsletter and instead say pen pal, or writing to a reader friend, a friend who happens to love your books, who maybe picked up the last 3 books or the last book that you wrote and is thinking about their characters while they're doing some other work, including dishes, putting in the dishwasher, whatever, what would you tell her? And that is the single most important question you have to ask yourself when you're writing an email to your readers, because the content that you write is going to come directly from this answer. What do the readers love about my books? And here's how it looks. If they love, and they tell you they love slow burn romance, then you should write about love in real life. You should write about what makes a love story feel true to you. You could answer readers' questions about your couple. You could write about how a real argument in real life can become a fictional one. All right, let's say that you're writing a historical. What is it that they love? What is it that you can say about your historical writing? Well, of course, every historical author that I know has always said that they go down rabbit holes in research. You could write about that. Or you could write about the surprising thing that you discovered that was true, or a fascinating detail that never made it into the final draft. And this could be also in contemporary as well. It doesn't have to be just historical, because you do research for your contemporaries as well as your historicals, as well as your fantasy, and even for your mysteries. Or let's say if you are writing a world and you have a magic system and you have created rules, you have created a whole place, a whole environment, a whole universe. And you could talk about the rules that you built and that you're using. And then you could talk about the ones that you broke. You could talk about the mythologies that inspired this world. And you could also talk about maybe what you wish the magic or what the universe could do. If you're writing mysteries, if you're writing suspense, you could write about real cold cases that inspired you or that you found fascinating. You could talk about the behind the scenes clues that you planted or the red herrings that you cut out or you almost cut out. So remember from this, if you want to shift the way that you think about it, is that you're not starting from scratch. Every newsletter that you're writing is not, I'm starting from scratch. You're starting with something that you already know. You know that this reader has chosen you. They signed up for your mailing list and they're staying on it. So what we're going to do is use this thing called the because chain. And I want you to try it right now. So take one thing that you know that some reader has said to you recently about your books. What is it they love about your books? And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself, why did they say that 3 times? When you do think this is something brainstorming, if you've been in the corporate world or whatever, you know that this is one of the brainstorming things you do. You do everything in threes. And the last thing that you talk about as your mind starts to expand is probably the right thing. And what we're going to do is take that answer and we're going to make it a newsletter topic. All right. So, what is one thing that a reader has said that they loved about your writing? And let's ask 3 times why that is, and we're going to find our topic. So here's an example. Readers love the chemistry between my leads, my couple. Okay, why? Because it feels like it's real. Because the way that they make up, this is a romance, the way that they argue and then they make up rings true. Or maybe they like the conflict because it feels real. It feels like I have personally lived it. And out of here, a topic would be the real argument that inspired the fight scene in chapter 12. You're not starting at the beginning of the book. You're just starting at a scene that was there. And now it is something that you can pull from. Here's a fantasy example. Readers love the system that I built or the world that I built. Why? It's got real consequences. It's got real rules that are understandable. Maybe it's because when they do things, it actually costs something and it's not free. It's not just, made up each time. And I do this because I feel like if you got the best things in it, that they cost something. There's consequences. Here's a topic that you could take from that is why I made the magic hurt and what I was really writing about. You see how this kind of gives you like a starting point, but it's based on why readers love you. It's all personal. It's not like pulling it out of the air. And that's important. And what's also important is when I hit the down arrow that we actually move to the next page. Okay, so there are 5 pillars that we're going to use to create our content. All right, this is what you're going to use from the question that I brought up before. It's 5 pillars of content that you could, if you like outlines or if you like at least a starting point for things, these are the 5 things that are the best for newsletters that I found. And I've been writing newsletters for over 30 years, so this is true. The first pillar is, it's like some people call it a bucket. I've heard it referred to a bucket. I think of it as buckets. I like buckets better than pillars, but whatever. I kind of do it. You kind of know where you're starting from. All right, there's 5 of them that we're going to use for as a fiction writer, your newsletters that really will resonate with your readers. The first one is behind the book. It's more like the director's commentary. Like if I love watching the story behind the story, but if I'm watching a series on Netflix or something like that, they always have like these podcast things, or they used to have DVDs and they would have them talking about the things that you possibly had missed in it. Well, anyhow, that's the director's cut or the director's commentary. And it talks about the cut scenes. It talks about the character motivations that maybe I missed, research discoveries, alternate endings, world building secrets. That's all behind the book. It's behind the scene of what actually happened. The second content bucket or pillar is you, the author's reading life. It's because remember, that's the one thing you have in common with your reader. You're both readers, right? So here's a common ground and a common bit of conversation. You can do it. So let's talk about your reading life. It's what you're reading. It's the books that make you cry. It's the books that make you laugh. It's the authors that you admire. It's the author that you buy as soon as the book, you know that the book is coming out, you've got the pre-order. You're ready to go. You read it. It's your comfort rereads. Or it's a book that almost ruins you for everything else. And it's why you base your life on, or you base your that writing or that series on something. The third pillar or the third content bucket is the world of your books. This is like, okay, this could be recipes, playlists, locations, fake locations, mythology, folklore, field guides to characters, or that it could be a mood board that you put together. It could be true if you're writing mysteries and suspense. It could be a true crime parallel or a cold case that you read or a newspaper article, I guess an article that you read, a story that you read about some crime thing. That's what's in the world of your books. The fourth pillar, which is kind of the important one, is you, the person. Now, you don't have to show everything. You don't have to tell them everything about your life so they can come track you down and, stalk you. But you should write like a light level of this. What is your reading space like? Are your writing space like? What are distractions that bother you? What about your pets? I wouldn't talk about your children necessarily, but your pets are fair game and people have a connection with that. You could talk about the things that make you happy, things that make you sad, things that make you angry. Okay. But it's you as a person. It gives them a little bit of understanding about you. And then the fifth one is readers first. This is where you ask questions and then you expose the answers that they gave you to the rest of the readers. This is where you can spotlight a reader. You can name a character after a subscriber and you give them that. You can run polls. You can invite theories. You can about what you're going to write next or about why you wrote what you did. You could share reviews that made your whole week, that made you happy. And now we're going to do some examples of this. So like, for example, we're going to talk about the first one, which is behind the book. Remember, this is director's commentary. This is where you give your devoted readers an exclusive look behind the curtain. You're going to play Oz. And this is a story only you can tell because you were the creator of this book and you were the creator of the story of the characters. So you could talk about the scene that almost didn't make it. My favorite is a character that surprised you because generally speaking, when I read a book, there's always a secondary character who just shows up for a short period of time, but is intriguing. And the way that you wrote it, it's so intriguing. I want to know more. I may want to know their own story, but I, in my own head, am making up because you didn't give me all the details. So now I've got to start thinking about it. So if you do a newsletter about that would be really good. I would like that and I would read it. I'm talking as a reader. How about a research discovery that changed everything? You could put it in there. It could be what never made it into your book, but you found fascinating. You could talk about real life stuff to fiction, how real life inspired your fiction, how you took a bit like a scene is based on something that you saw, that you read about, or something like that. Or if you have alternate endings, let's say that you wrote one, but it didn't make it into the book for whatever reason, whether it didn't fit editorially or whatever reason. There's lots of different reasons why the alternate endings don't go in there. Here though, you don't have to throw it out with the bathwater. You can now put it into a newsletter. It would work. If you have secrets about the world building that you've done, here's a great way of expounding a little bit more, especially if you're doing fantasy or something like that. You've done fantasy or something like that. If these are the ones that didn't make it, or they're the ones that people ask questions about, like they didn't understand. So if you put it in a newsletter, it gives you the opportunity to expand that universe a little bit more. And you could also talk about the tropes that you use, why you like a certain trope. and why the readers have responded back to you that they like that trope, whether it's a secret baby, whether, there's so many different tropes that we as fiction readers love. Some people prefer to start their emails if they've got like an outline or they've got an idea that, they're picking this pillar, but they also need a subject line to start with. And so here are 3 examples that you could use that fall into this pillar of behind the book. It's the real reason I killed off and the character name. That is a great subject line, let me tell you, because especially if I love that character, I want to know why you killed them off. I'm going to read the email. The magic rule I almost broke, or the rule I almost broke and why I didn't. She was only supposed to be a minor character, but she had other ideas. He was only supposed to be a minor character. He was supposed to be killed off, and here's why I didn't do it. The second pillar is your reading life. Remember that readers love books and that you love books, and that this is a common ground between that you share a connection with your reader. And here's your opportunity to share what you like to read. So you could talk about what you're reading now. And this is perfect if you are doing newsletter swaps, because you can turn this into why you like the book that you're putting in your newsletter. I mean, you want it to be authentic, so you want it to be that you've actually read the book that you're, recommending to your readers. You could also talk about books that inspired your genre or your trope. You could talk about the emotional reads that you've had recently, made you laugh, made you cry, made you keep reading late into the night. You'd rather just give up your sleep just to finish it. My daughter just finished Yesteryear, and she said she hated it, but she had to keep reading. And so every time I talk to her, she's like, I'm almost done, 3 more chapters. And it was funny. She was listening to it. There's an audiobook, and it was, and then at the end, she hated the book. And I said, well, those are the hours you're not going to get back. She said, yeah, but I can keep thinking about it. So if you share that kind of thing with your readers, it gives you a common ground. You could talk about authors you admire, especially if you're compared to a certain author. Like if somebody said, oh, your stories, your characters are just like Nora Roberts. Well, you could talk about how you admire Nora Roberts or something like that, so that you're encouraging that common ground between you and your reader. Remember, you're writing to one reader, and you're going to talk about why you're reading it, why you're reading what you read. If you do rereads, there's a book that I reread every single year, and an explanation of why, then I would have common ground with the author who's writing this, because I understand about rereads and I understand about comforting rereads. If you've written romantasy or some kind of fantasy world or something like that, you could also talk about the classic fantasies that are out there, or the mythologies, and why you like certain things, like why you like the Nordic mythology versus the Irish mythology or something like that. Or you could go into more details of it, or you could talk about movies or series that are based on that mythology and why you agree with them or don't agree with them. These are all it's all part of you talking to a friend, where you're sharing more information about you, right? You could also talk about book talk trends. I mean, the one thing that we talk about in book club a lot is that they're calling everything romantasy. I mean, fantasy with romantic elements has been around for a lot of time, like 50 years or so, long, long, long time. So it's not new. Although, with the younger people, they think everything is new, but it's not necessarily. So here's some subject lines examples. If this is what you need for help to, get your little thoughts going, is this example: the book I've read 4 times and why I keep going back. The fantasy that ruined me for everything else in the best possible way. What I actually think about the romantasy boom. Sorry, I keep bringing it up because it's just a hot topic that we've been into. All right, our next pillar, number 3, the content bucket, is the world of your books. Can be kind of easy, or it can be kind of hard, but you're talking more about your books and the world that you've created. It's fictional, but it's real. Okay. Recipes are always a great thing, you know. It might be something you made, it might be something your characters would possibly made. This is a really popular blog post on Fresh Fiction, by the way, when if you were writing for us and you talk about food, people love to talk about food. Readers love to talk about food. Even if they can't cook or bake, they love to read a recipe and a story behind the recipe. So just FYI. If you're into playlists, music ones, you could have it out on Spotify, but you could also, if you have a playlist for each book, great thing to share it in an email. Or a location, whether it's real or not real, and how it inspired your fictional ones. If your character were real, which for some people who read books, they are real, what if they had an Instagram account? What would they be posting? You know, it's like, especially if you have a big audience on Instagram or you do, or you like to use that platform, go for it. You know, if dogs and cats can have their Instagram accounts, your characters can have an imaginary Instagram account. You don't have to actually put it on Instagram or the other social media, but you could pretend in your newsletter. It gives them something to read too. If there's an event or a true crime event that happens that could parallels your plot, you could talk a little bit more about this and give it the relationship to your book, right? You could talk about the fantasy, the mythology, the classic stories behind your story, or the way that you built your world. If even in small town romances, or when you've written more than 3 books and they're trying to do a location, readers like to have maps. We like to know, oh, that's where that's located. That's where the church is located, next to across from the store, across from the bookstore, the library, the restaurant they all hang out on. This is where the ranch is in relationship to the town. We like maps. Sorry, guys. But here's, you don't have to have put it actually in your book. You could put it on your website, but you could also put it in a newsletter. You could do a field guide study, which is really a character study, and it could be in any kind of genre, right? We love those. It's like a little bit more information. And if you're into the Pinterest stuff and you do mood boards and aesthetic posts and and casting ideas and things like this, that's a great content. And it's the world of your books, and it's great for your newsletter. The next pillar is you. It's the person behind the books. And this is the one that most authors don't like to talk about, but it's a powerful one. So you shouldn't just ignore it. You should decide how much of it how much of yourself you're actually going to share with your readers. You could talk about the day job that you had before you started writing, or the day job that you have now, if you're willing to share that. If you were a teacher or something like that, or if most writers have other jobs, or they had other jobs that inspired them or turned them off from doing what it is that they're writing. You could talk about the thing that always distracts you from writing, or what you do when you feel like you're hitting a block. I could tell when my husband, who was always got upset, and I'd come home and he'd wash all of the shower curtains. I am the kind of person who would just replace the liner, but he liked to throw them into the washer, and really weird hang up kind of thing. Or you could show a picture or talk about what your writing space actually looks like. Like, it's not pristine, it's not neat. You've got piles on the floor. What does your little library look like, or your big library? What does it look like? You could talk about your pets. This really relates to you as a person behind the book, is your pets. We have people who like dogs. They're going to want to hear about what your dog's up to, or what you feel like your dog is up to. And you could talk about the small, specific things that make you happy. Like, you love to go to Trader Joe's and pick up a bouquet, and then staring at the bouquet until it wilts or whatever makes you very happy and makes you feel like you're in a good place. So here's some more subject line examples for you if you need that help. It's the reason I can't write without really terrible reality TV in the background. My writing space is embarrassingly not Pinterest worthy, and what I actually do when I'm supposed to be writing. These are all great subject lines, and it should like get your little creativity going but with not expending too much energy there. Okay, the final pillar, the final content bucket is readers first. So this is where you're actually sounding like a conversation. It's not a broadcast. It's where you invite participation, you invite feedback, which makes the email providers love you because they know that you're just not talking to the void, because you're getting responses from your subscribers, from the people who are opening your emails. The easiest thing to do is to ask a question and then share the answers in your next email. That was a great point that really does work. A reader spotlight. Somebody wrote you a note, or they shared a photo with you, they shared their cat or something like that. You could write about that and relate it to your book a little bit, or relate it to your world. If you name a character after a subscriber, or you ask for suggestions for characters' names, you should put that in an email, and also share what the people came up with, like the top 5 names. Share a reader review that made your whole week, and make sure it's genuine connection to your story, which I'm sure that you will do. But people like to be recognized as well. And so this is a little bit more than just a tagline from a review that you would put, here's what reviewer A, B, and C said about your book. This is like going into a little bit more detail. If you're writing a world, you could ask them which faction they belong to. And then the easy one is run a poll and see what the answers are, and engage them in debates of one sort or another. And you could also invite theories for upcoming books, or what character set you should write about, or which character you should write about, or something like that. So you want to make sure, though, that you don't put spoilers in there. Again, here are some subject lines. She read it in one sitting. Here's what she said. Well, it's interesting. You're going to see what another reader has said about this author that you're reading their newsletter for. Which quarter you in? This is for like the fantasy ones or the universe ones, or you guessed it, but I'm not telling you if you're right. This is like if people are the next character you're going to write about in your series. These are all great things to start with. And remember that when you're writing an email, the most important thing beside the content that you put in there is your subject line. And sometimes subject lines, we've had a whole session on how to write great subject lines. But here, so again, I just want to give you some examples that would fit into the buckets, and that these should work. You could take these, steal these, modify them, run them through AI, whatever you want. Behind the book, here's one. The reason I killed off a character. The rule I broke or didn't break. She was supposed to be a minor character. He was supposed to be a minor character, but they had other ideas. The book I've read for your reading life. The book I've read 4 times, why I keep going back. The fantasy or the mystery that ruined me for everything else, and in the best way. So you're not just putting up like negative things. And what I actually think about whatever boom that's going on. If for the world of your books, you could write the playlist I wrote this title to, or the mythology of the world I twisted to build my world, or a field guide or a character guide to something like that. In the readers first, she read it in one sitting. Here's what she said. Which quarter you in? I'll share the results next week. You guessed it, but I'm not telling you. Just like a recap of the ones that I've already given you before. Finding your voice, you feel like sometimes your newsletter is not necessarily the same as what you've written in the story. But here is a really easy way to find out what readers really actually like about your books and what they're talking about. And the way to do this is mining your own reviews. And first thing you need to do is go to the most places that you get reviews, which could be Amazon, Goodreads, BookBub, etc., Kobo, things like that. And look for this. What are the words that readers use over and over again? What makes them feel something? What will they miss if you take it out? And this is going to become the language of your newsletter voice. It's going to be borrowed from your own readers. It's really important and it's really easy to do. So the first thing you're going to do is pull 20 reviews and put them in like a spreadsheet or something. Then I want you to go through and highlight emotional phrases that they use. And this phrase is going to describe a feeling or an experience. And now you can group those into at least three themes. And each theme can be matched to a content pillar. And each pillar can give you 10 or more email ideas. So, like, for example, you could, if you don't have reviews, what you could do in your welcome email that you send when somebody signs up for your mailing list is, what is the favorite thing about your book, your series, your genre? And you can learn from those responses more than any marketing course that you could take, because this becomes personal to you. It's your book, it's what you've created, and you're going to actually get what they are responding to about you. Then the other question people ask me is, how often do I have to write these newsletters? Well, minimum is once a month. That's if you want to stay remembered and you want to stay in their consciousness and you want your emails opened, you need to do it at least once a month. Pick a date and do it consistently so that people start to get used to it. If you want to go for the sweet spot, that's twice a month. So, like, say the 1st and the 15th, or the 5th and the 20th, something like that. That's what you want to do. If you write short emails, once a week is great. And they could be short, they could be warm, but you don't want them too long because people aren't going to read, really. They don't want a tome from you every single week. But remember, never ever go dark. Don't vanish and then reappear only when you've got a book to sell or you've got something on sale. This just trains your list to ignore you. It also trains them to put it into promotions only. They're not going to put it in the main email bucket that each of the readers gets. So remember that consistency will beat your frequency every time. So if you, for 2 years, have mailed out a monthly email, that's going to beat doing a weekly email for 2 months and then ghosting them. I want you to start with a simple structure for your emails. And it's just 3 pieces. It's a hook, it's the meat, and it's a gift. The gift is also the news. So the first thing is the hook for this email. It's a personal paragraph. It's small. It's short, no more than 5 sentences. 3 sentences is better. And never start with, "Hi, everybody, it's been a while." Start mid-story of what you're going to be talking about. The main content, which is the meat of your email, it's from one of the 5 pillars or contents buckets that I've given you. And it should be between 150, 300 words. It's one topic. Don't try to do 2 in one. Always end with an invitation for them to reply. It could be a question, a request, a prompt, a poll, something in that. And then the news or the gift, it's the PS. It's after your signature. And it could be an author update, it could be a release date, it could be a pre-order, a cover reveal, a sale. This is it. Remember, though, that it's PS, it's not the point. The relationship that you write for the rest of the email is the whole point of making these emails. It's not just to sell things. And here's some example of the opening lines that might work for you. Tell me what you think. It's just like writing a book. You have to grab them in the first paragraph. So here's a starter kit. I'm going to give you 10 emails mapped out that you can use, that you could steal, which will either give you 5 months worth of work if you do them twice a month, or it could be, if you do them weekly, it could be 10, or it could be almost a whole year if you're just going to do it once a month. Your first email is a welcome email. It's where you're asking them a question and you want them to respond. Okay. The second one is we're going to use behind the book. This is how the book actually started, something like that. You're reading life. Now you're switching to this is more about you. I think it was number 3. This is what you're reading right now and why you can't put it down. Your fourth email could be of the world of your books. You're switching back, you're going back. So now you're going to write about the playlist that you wrote for the book. 4 or 5, go back to you as the person. It's one thing that makes your day. There you go. Then you're going to switch over the next one to readers first. It's something that a reader said that stopped in cold. You're bringing in your readers into your emails that you're sending. Then we're going to go back to the first pillar behind the book. You're going to, the director, behind the scenes kind of thing. It will be, in this case, it could be the character that refused to be the side character. And then you're switching again to the reading life. This is more about you personally. It's a book you've read 4 times and you're not sorry. Then we're going to switch again to the next email. It's going to be the world of your books. This could be a true story, or it could be what part of the book this story helped create. And then switch back to readers first. You notice that, like, you're doing a combination, but you're not like just doing one of the pillars. You don't have to use one of the pillars. But here's just a roadmap. Here's just, an outline that you could start with and go ahead and modify it to that makes the sense to you. And I also want, because we're almost ready for the questions, I want you not to worry about your setup, the tools that you have. If you don't already have an email platform and you're looking at getting one, here are the top 4 ones that I kind of suggest. If you have, it's MailChimp, it's expensive, but if you have, it's free up to 500, but it's the most familiar interface, and it's going to be the one that interfaces with most things without adding something else to it. It's great for if you're starting your list. It's great if up till you get to about 5,000 subscribers, and then it gets a little costly, just that. So the one I really suggest is MailerLite. It's clean, it's affordable, it has strong automation tools, and it grows with you without a steep learning curve. ConvertKit, if you're into a little bit more and you like to do automations and you like to break up your readers by segments and series, and you like welcome sequences and automation of stuff, this is probably the best one for you. It's called Kit now. It used to be called ConvertKit. And if you don't like to do anything but just write, then Substack, it's pretty good. It's free. It has built-in discovery. It's a newsletter and a blog in one. It's good for authors that like to write long posts, but you're not going to have any automation, and it's a little tricky about how you can sell things in there. And it's also, because it's free, it's not necessarily, they do say you can take all of your subscribers off of it, your email subscribers off of it, but you should always remember in the back of your head, it's not free. So there might be something coming down the road. The other thing is that when you're building your list, this is something that we're not really talking about in this workshop, is that it just doesn't appear out of magic. But it will grow faster than you think if you're plugging into all the right channels that are out there. So these are the ones that you can control. It's the back matter in your books. And this is also you could put it in your acknowledgments if you're traditionally published, with the direct sign up link there. And people do use it. And it's usually the highest converting source. Your website, you want to have a clear sign up form or a landing page with a specific reason to subscribe. It's not just join my newsletter. Okay. You want to make it why they should do this, and not necessarily that you're giving away a magnet, which is the next thing. You can give away a free gift, which is a bonus scene, a deleted scene, exclusive resources that they can't get anywhere else. And the other one is that even though, I kind of badmouth social media, whatever social media you're on, at least once a week, you need to write a post or a story, depending on which one it is, mentioning something that's inside your newsletter that they're missing out on. Because this just reinforces the fact that you've got a newsletter and that it seems to be active. And then if you are interested in fresh fiction resources that we help you grow your mailing list, is we still have the weekly Books Not to Miss, which reaches 95,000 plus readers a week. These are active readers. We have Fresh Access, which is monthly marketing that starts at $1,499 a year. We have Contest Management, where you can build your list with monthly reader giveaways. We have reader book clubs. We have more than one every single week. We have virtual, we have in person. We have reader games that we ask authors to help sponsor that run a couple of times. We have yearly ones, and then we have seasonal ones. The summer ones just started. It goes from June 1st to Labor Day. And then we'll have holiday coming up at the end, but we also have ones in between. And sponsorship for that is very low. We also have a journal now that people can buy, and you can put advertising in, which is your book that we suggest for the different games or whatever, in the journal. It's very inexpensive. The Fresh Fiction Box is a monthly subscription box that readers pay for. It's free for you to put your content in there. And I just want you to remember that your readers are out there waiting. You don't have to be a marketer. You just have to be yourself on purpose. You already have your content, you have the voice, and you have the readers. Remember, they love your last book and they're waiting for the next one. Give them something to hold on to in between. And that's what your newsletter is. It's a bridge. And the gap between should I send a newsletter and I did send a newsletter is one email. It's not a perfect one. It's just one. It's just a real one. Start there. Do we have any questions? Just go ahead and turn your camera or your voice on and go ahead if you have a question.
I have a question. Maybe other people can throw in what their experiences are. I often ask a question in my emails, and I have not mastered how to like create a survey, but I ask a question and I have a button so that they can respond to me easily, and I never get responses. I know people open the email. So I don't know why that is. And I don't think the questions are bad or stupid.
Well, what's an example? What's an example question? Maybe it's the
I
question.
can't even think. I'd have to go back and look, but like maybe I wrote about a book I just absolutely loved. And I say, write and tell me the book you've loved this week or something like that. I get nothing. I don't know. Do other people get responses when they ask questions?
I was gonna say, I think one time out of I don't know how many newsletters I've gotten a response. So I don't think that's unusual.
So that's the same. That's like me. Yeah.
I don't think that's unusual necessarily. I mean, maybe other people do.
I don't do a button. I just say reply to this email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
And I've had to pull back from that because I'll get inundated
Really?
with people hitting reply and answering questions or telling me whatever it is
Wow.
they're doing.
Wow.
Mary, I think that's interesting, and I wonder if it has the effect on readers as it's not feeling as mechanical, like
Right.
this is going to this place that I'm going to go check when I actually have time. Instead, it feels like a more direct interaction.
I
wonder if
just
maybe
do I just do my reply to this email, and they still don't really get that
Yeah.
many replies, but I get pretty good number of people opening, about 20% open. They just don't respond.
I really think it's the way that you ask. I hate to say this, but I think it's the way you ask the question. Maybe it's not reflecting your personality. I mean, because Terry's saying she's got a lot back. I know when I ask a question like, what is your favorite? Mine are more high level, like, what is your favorite genre? But also if I say, like, for example, yesteryear is like really on my mind right now because another author has sent me these text messages like, I can't believe they picked this book, blah, blah, blah. I hated it, but I had to keep reading to find out what happened. And then I hated it. So like if you put some emotion into your question, maybe that will resonate with your readers. I think each of us, we're each different people. And if we stick as close as possible to what we are authentically, maybe you can make that connection. So if you're not getting See, when you ask me what is the best book I've read this week, it's kind of like, oh, I'm afraid what to tell her. It wasn't her book. That's a woman kind of response.
Okay.
You have to test it, is what I'm trying to say. Is
Yeah.
so you know, be personal about I read blah 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 and I loved it because whatever. What do you love? And I don't know, but I just kind of test things to see what gets responses and not doesn't get a response. But I'm telling you, when you start, you know, when you start training it, and then you'll get one person who you're just going to say in your mind, I wish they would not keep emailing me because I don't know what to say to them. Right? You're always getting somebody who knows how to write better than you do. You can ignore those people.
My
Sarah
questions
saying that.
my questions,
Uh-huh,
I
go ahead.
usually try to relate them to whatever I've been whatever my little newsletter paragraph is. Like if
Yeah.
I shared my flowers are blooming and I show my garden. How about you?
Yeah.
What do you what's going on in your garden? I'll just get and then I'm like,
Yeah.
shouldn't have done. But I also feel compelled to answer each one. And so I hit reply back. And yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't do it very often anymore because I get inundated.
Terry,
But see, that's a
you maybe
good thing.
could try a poll then, because you wouldn't have to answer
Yeah.
everyone, and then you could put in your next one, oh, the poll said whatever, whatever, and
Yeah,
and
we've done a poll and we got some good responses, but not quite the same. Because
yeah,
again, I think like what
yeah,
somebody, it's not as personal, and
yeah.
I don't know.
But you want to cut down some of the personal, some of the responses, so that might work, or maybe alternate.
Yeah, yeah,
Mary, maybe in your next email, you can take all those responses you got and tell readers, boy, you responded, and here's what some of you said, and
that's a good
reply
point.
to it that way, because it makes another email and it sets up the exchange. It says, I'm reading your responses, they made an impression on me, and I want to share them with everybody.
I'm gonna
So
write that down.
it gives them a way to think that they're participating in the community that you're building through your newsletter. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Also, it ties right into that idea bucket of highlighting a reader.
All right.
That's what I was
So
going to
you're
say.
making certain readers feel really special, and you don't necessarily have to pick,
Yeah.
you can pick different readers each time to do that with. So
So like if you're talking about like Terry, if you're talking about in your garden, like your roses are really blooming or whatever, and you ask them to share their roses with you, then I would pick one that sent like a picture, a really good picture, and say, look at this beautiful thing Judy wrote that's growing in her garden. I mean, that gives you a double thing of like Judy now feels appreciated. Plus, everybody who did or did not send something in says, oh, Terry really likes her readers. That's the subconscious thing that's going on. And that's just really good. Plus, it gives you content for your next thing where you're focusing on that readers.
Yeah, no, that's good. Do you think we have to ask their permission to be able to
You
like,
don't have to, as long as you don't use their last name, kind of thing. And if you're just, I mean, people love, if you were talking about, here's the trick that my dog did, whatever, and they send in dog pictures, they're so happy to have their dog out there. It's like candy, you
I was
know,
gonna say,
oh, you're not
oh,
interrupting, Teresa, go
it's
ahead.
my ADHD at work. Sorry. I was going to say the same thing actually on social media. Anybody who asks to share a picture of their dog, I'm a dog person, and they're immediately going to get pictures of my dogs. So yeah, I'm all in on those. It's a really, really good idea.
Yeah.
Sarah, just to change the topic slightly, you talked about the Books Not to Miss weekly. Well, I finally have a publication date for the fourth book in my series, and I really want to do a Books Not to Miss on September 15th.
Okay.
Where do I sign up?
You are automatically signed up because you're on the Fresh Access program.
Oh,
So you don't have to worry about it.
okay. And I have new covers for my book with the demon on them. So
Okay.
and those.
Yeah. No, if you're not on the Fresh Access program, which is the monthly thing, then you can always ask if you've got a sale or you want one of your books pushed out there again, then you can either buy it separately, or if you're in the program, you just have to let us know and we'll put you in when we have space to do it and it's around the time that you need it to go out.
In the chat, they were talking about MailerLite, and I
Oh,
just
I
wanted to
forgot
put,
to.
I used MailChimp first and then
Uh-huh.
switched to MailerLite. And I have an assistant, so she does a lot of it. But MailerLite's customer service has been really good. Anytime we've had any kind of issues, we just ask them and they've been really good. So just putting that out there.
Yes, you have to pay though. If you don't have a
Oh, yeah.
paid account, just
Oh,
FYI.
yeah. MailerChimp was really great until I hit a point where I had to pay, and then they were more expensive than
Mhm.
MailerLite.
I mean, see, MailChimp works well if you've got the money and you really have a integration with other stuff that you do. Like if you have a Shopify and you start to sell your own books, you better go with MailChimp than MailerLite. But right now, MailChimp has better integration automatically with your Shopify shop than MailerLite does. Kit doesn't have it very much at all. They're like more of the creative kind of stuff that you're putting out there, but they do really good at automation. So if you're really into automation with all of your books and things like and segmenting and things like that, then you would pick the Kit kind of thing. And if you're kind of like, I don't want to know about automation, I don't want to know about that, I just want to get mail out there, then go ahead with Substack until they start getting, but do remember you're on borrowed ground kind of thing. And I see from past experience with technology and stuff is that they want to be paid. And how many of your subscribers want to pay to get an email from you?
None.
Just think about that. So, when you do something and it's supposed to be free, nothing in life is free. So you just kind of make your thing for it. So right now, for most authors, I suggest MailerLite. Okay. Any other questions? It's been a real pleasure, guys. I'm back. Our next one will be in 2 weeks, whichever that is. I think it's 14. Is that like the 19th or something? Yeah, thank you. I think that we're going to continue on the topic because newsletters are such an important part of your life, whether you like it or not. Is the easiest marketing to do, can say that gets you the biggest bang for your effort that you put out there. So I think that we're going to go on different ways of how to grow your list, but free ways, not like paid ways to grow your list. And because there's some ideas that I have, and I've been putting together examples that I've seen what people are putting out on social media and stuff that I think are effective. And so I hope to share those with you guys.
So I have a kind of a humiliating request. Would you be willing, would you be willing to take in the ensuing 2 weeks or 4 weeks to take emails from some of us here and analyze them, rip them apart, tell us where they're lacking and so forth?
Sure. I love to do that.
Okay.
I get most of my authors plus other authors' emails all the time, and sometimes they are a source of joy, and some of them times they're a source of what the hell?
But that would, I would, I for one feel like I would benefit from that.